Hello, folks, and welcome to Let's Talk Sports live stream watch along of the final race, the decider. And we'll find out today who will be the MotoGP World Champion of 2022. Will it be the championship leader of Francesco Bagnaia, or could it be for the second year in a row, Fabio Quartararo for Yamaha? The race is in Valencia, the Valencia Grand Prix. That's where the final race is. It'll be the same next year as well, but a lot later in November, which will be like, what, November 26th next year. So that would pretty much mean that it will be a bit colder for the riders next year. But let's worry about this year, shall we? I'm just trying to get my stream to work. It's just paused for a moment, which isn't always a good thing. But anyway, nothing to worry about just yet. The riders are just lined up on the starting grid. But as you know, the main thing is between Quartararo and Bagnaia. So Quartararo is fourth on the grid, and it'll be a starting position for Bagnaia in eighth. So at the moment, Quartararo needs as many points as he can get, because let's not forget, he's 24 points behind Bagnaia in the championship coming into this final race, and it's 25 points for the win. Anyway, they're just doing on the warm-up lap. So basically, Bagnaia's champion as long as he doesn't lose 24 points or more to Fabio Quartararo. And MotoGP have just tweeted at Circuit Valencia, sold out with in capital letters, with a picture of one of the big stands. Attendance this weekend is over 170,000 fans. Fantastic to see. But at the moment, my stream is not doing its thing, which is really annoying, folks. Let me just refresh and stuff. Typical, the last race of the season, it does this. But get in touch on the live chat page. Would love to hear from you. But yeah, get in touch on the live chat page. We'll read out your messages. The live leaderboard will hopefully refresh once the race begins. We got Wellham Renyan saying Bagnaia is the best. Niall Da says, mate, it's not Bagnaia, it's Bagnaia. Bagnaia. Or you could say Bagnaia. Something like that. Or Fabio Quartararo. That's a name I can pronounce a lot better, that's for sure. So Bagnaia versus Quartararo. They're lined up and ready to go. This is it. It all comes down to this here in Valencia. Under the nice heated sun of Valencia. Spain hasn't disappointed with the weather this weekend. 27 laps then to determine who will be our world champion for 2022. They're ready to go. The revs are on. The lights are out. And there we go. Here we go. It all begins now. Alex Rins up ahead and front, but he's got two riders just to the left of him, of Jorge Martin and Marc Marquez, all three Spaniards in the front row at the moment. And a good, clean first corner for all riders there. No one coming out of that with a broken bike or anything similar. But luckily for our two riders in the championship going for the top are okay at the moment. Quartararo has gone down to fifth. He's just behind the legend that is Marc Marquez. So he's going to have to fight it out against the Repsol Honda because he needs, I think the best he can do is win the race and just hope that Bagnaia doesn't finish, basically. I think that's the only way, really, Quartararo could win this race today. Well, not win the race, but to win the championship. So Quartararo now down to fifth. He's just being overtaken, but he's gone on the inside again. I think he's back to fourth. Yep, he's back to fourth. Just goes ahead of Jack Miller. Bagnaia's in sixth place at the moment. So he's only 2 places behind Quartararo. We've seen incredible consistent racing from Bagnaia this season, especially in the second half of the season where he's won a majority of the races between him and Quartararo. But Bagnaia he's been flying, and he has improved from last season. Last season we saw him crash when leading races. This time round we've not seen that. And I think Quartararo will be hoping there'd be a bit of old Bagnaia there to play its game. But at the moment, then, they've just showed the live championship. 22 points still that separates Bagnaia and Quartararo. I'll be honest, folks, I can't see it happening. But after watching Malaysia, the last race, the penultimate race of the season 2 weeks ago, it just... Oh, and Quartararo's had a piece taken off. He's lost a place as well. And he's down to 6, and he's gone behind Bagnaia. Oh, and now Jack Miller goes past. What was going on there? I didn't see any collision, but maybe we'll see a replay. But something came off Quartararo's bike, and that could really be a problem for his performance. But at the moment, he's now behind his championship rival. They're both neck and neck. This is incredibly tense. Quartararo goes on the inside, but Bagnaia comes out of it on the next turn. We're already on lap 2 of 27, but we're seeing the two championship contenders going side by side pretty much. Oh, incredible racing. That was a heart and mouth moment for both teams. But I must admit, though, we talk about this. It's a quick race, as we know, but they're just showing it again. And it was Jack Miller that played his part. And so did Bagnaia. He did collide with Quartararo, and that's where that little piece came out off his bike. Alex Rins ahead then going into lap 3. Augie Martin second, Marc Marquez third, Jack Miller fourth. Francesco, who will be world champion if it ends like this. Bagnaia in 5th. Anyway, get in touch on the live chat page. Remember to vote for who you think will win the World Championship today. We've got Bagnaia leading at 74%, Quartararo at 25%. So pretty much most of you agreeing with my prediction as well of who will win the World Championship. Still 25 laps to go, though. Who knows? But I think if Quartararo is going to get what he wants, he's got to win the race, as I said. Bagnaia to not even finish, maybe, well, at least not finish in the points. But can you really see Quartararo winning a race after what has been a bit? His second half of the season has not been great in terms of race form, in terms of winning races. He's done a lot more with that bike than he can do, but it's just not as quick as that Ducati. But he's just behind Bagnaia at the moment, hoping to try and at least overtake him maybe. But let's not forget, Bagnaia would be the first Italian since, you wouldn't believe this, since Valentino Rossi 12 years ago. Sorry, 13 years ago in 2009. So Fabio Quartararo trying to stop that from happening. And has he just overtaken? Yep, no. I thought he overtook someone there. He's actually going for Bagnaia. I thought for a moment he overtook Bagnaia, but that did not happen. If you have just joined us here on Let's Talk Sport, welcome to our live stream watch along of the MotoGP. Do subscribe to the channel. We're less than 200 away from reaching 11,000 subscribers, so your support would be much, much delightful. And we've also got the Women's Super League at 6:45 this evening. Big game that is. The league leaders of Man United women versus Chelsea women, who are the defending champions of the Women's Super League. Man United have never beaten Chelsea in the history of the... I mean, it's a short history, but in that history, they've never beaten them in the Women's Super League. Could they do that tonight? And Quartararo has overtaken Bagnaia. He's up to 5th, but the gap is 1.6 seconds behind Bagnaia's teammate Jack Miller, who's in 4th. And then 300ths of a second behind Marc Marquez in 3rd. Then we got Augie Martin 2nd and Alex Rins 1st. We got Greg Livingston getting in touch. Hello, Greg, saying hi, Jamie from the US. Had a lovely weekend on the state after winning about $2,500 on the horse racing. Good for you, my friend. That's a lot of money for a weekend's work. And thank you for donating some of your winnings to Let's Talk Sport. We really appreciate that, Greg. You certainly are a legend here on Let's Talk Sport there. And Paul Espargaro has crashed. Yellow flag in Sector 1. Can't see the crash, but there's also, Dan Binder might be done for the season as well. He's crashed. I wonder if that might have been in the same incident as Espargaro's departure from the race. So it looks as though we've lost 2 riders in these early laps. Yellow flag still out there for Sector 1. But it looks as though Binder's bike has already... No. Aprilia, I've got a motorbike to spare maybe for the swap, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. They just had cameras in the garage there. Well, Quartararo is doing whatever he can, but he's still got to jump ahead 4 places. He has created a bit of a gap between him and Bagnaia. Around 700ths of a second. Jack Miller, well, he's certainly shown his speed today. He's up to 3rd now. He's gone past Marc Marquez. So it'll be Marc Marquez that Fabio's going to have to go for next instead of Miller. Jack Miller, let's not forget, it's his final race for Ducati today. So I'm sure he'll enjoy some champagne tonight if his teammate wins the championship. Alex Espargaro has just had to park up his bike. I was wondering why there was cameras on the Aprilia Racing Garage, but that means he is out of the race, and that is him done for the season. So still, the championship lead at the moment. Francesco will be the world champion by 22 points. Bastianini will finish 3rd in the championship, and Alex Espargaro, well, he's just retired, so he'll have to... Looks as though he might have to accept 4th. I'll tell you what, Bagnaia is going to have to look over his shoulder. Brad Binder's behind him. I just feel like there's just not enough laps for Quartararo to do the impossible, really. But Binder is knocking on the back door as they come down the straight. Francesco still ahead after the first corner, but Binder is definitely hoping to overtake. Greg asking, so does Quartararo have to finish in the points position to win the championship? Yeah, he does. He needs to be honest with you, he needs to win the race, which is looking very unlikely. Alex Marquez has crashed. Marc Marquez's brother. The Ducati team are nervously watching. They know that they can trust Bagnaia, but it's between him and his bike now. He's got to get that bike home. He's 6th at the moment with Binder right behind him. And let's not forget, with riders trying to overtake him, there could be a collision. That's all it takes. Quartararo's 1.2 seconds behind Marc Marquez. And there's a yellow flag for sectors 3 and 4. Cal Crutchlow has gone off as well. A man that we thought retired from MotoGP not long ago, but back on the circuit. As a Brit, it's good to see someone like Cal Crutchlow on the circuit for representing Great Britain. But yeah, he's not really up there for the championship, is he? It's quite interesting, this. They're doing a live heart rate of both team principals for Ducati and Yamaha. And as you'd expect, Ducati's team principal has got a much bigger beeps per minute right now, at around 122 compared to Yamaha's 93. Yamaha have got nothing to lose. They knew going into this race they're not the favourites. They could have done with a better result in Malaysia if they could have asked for a more dramatic final date. Still, of course, we're only on lap 8, 27 lap race. You never know. But at the moment, Bagnaia is in the points to get the championship, his first ever championship. Yeah, Diesel saying he has to win with Pecco finishing way down the order. Exactly. Pecco. Oh, Fernando Alonso is in one of the garages watching. Next weekend he'll be in Brazil for the Brazilian Grand Prix in Sao Paulo for his team Alpine, his penultimate race, I think. Yep, penultimate race before he moves on to Aston Martin next season. So Binder has overtaken Francesco. That puts Pecco in 7th. So that means the championship points is now at 21. Still a huge gap. But Quartararo is not really advancing in 5th. He's still 1.2 seconds behind Marc Marquez in 4th. Jack Miller in on the podium. Not a bad way for him to finish his Ducati spell. Just watching the replay again of Binder. Went on the inside of Francesco. Nicely does it on turn 2. Yeah, Rins, it looks as though he's 200ths of a second ahead of Jorge Martin. But Marc Marquez not third at the moment. Imagine if he did have a all-Spanish podium here in Valencia. Couldn't ask for anything better, could you? But there won't be a Spanish world champion this time round. I can't believe it's been a year since we said goodbye to Valentino Rossi here at the Valencia Grand Prix. That was in the final race 12 months ago. Yeah, Diesel's confirming that Jack Miller's going to KTM, as we heard earlier this season, since Greg Livingston's asking. If you haven't yet, folks, do subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing MotoGP next season as well, I'm sure. Your place for your MotoGP live watch-alongs, and for other sports as well. Oh! Who's gone off? No, it's Marc Marquez. Ooh. So Marc Marquez, he ain't going back on the bike either. He's walked away from it. He lifts the lid on his visor, and that's him done for the season. Just goes off on his own. He'll be annoyed. But at the end of the day, we didn't know if Marc Marquez was going to be back this season after his injury that he picked up. So it has been good to see him before the season wrapped up. But that's the yellow flag for Sector 3 because of Marc Marquez. That puts Quartararo up to 4th. But you just can't. I can't see him turning it around. 16 laps to go. Needs to overtake 3 more riders and then hope that Bagnaia somehow doesn't finish in the points. Crazier things have happened maybe, but he's now 1.7 seconds behind Jack Miller. And that Ducati's probably faster than the Yamaha. I say that. Quartararo did beat Bagnaia just before. And the only thing that separates them at the moment on the leaderboard is Brad Binder. Nur Hadiar looks as though he subscribed. Thanks very much, Nur. Really appreciate that. I hope I pronounced your name correctly anyway. Looks as though they're interviewing Fernando Alonso in the garage. He's wearing an Aprilia cap. I'm loving his shades, mirrored shades. So yeah, the gap has decreased a little bit, 1.7 seconds between third and fourth of Miller and Quartararo. So Quartararo a bit quicker in that last lap. I think the only problem is with MotoGP, sometimes the races are just not long enough for it to make it happen in impossible situations. You know, these races are quite quick. Talking 45 minutes. Definitely no more than an hour. Yeah, Marc Marquez is just walking back to the garage since he's done for the day. If you just joined us, Marc Marquez crashed out of the race just a couple of laps ago. Remember, Quartararo could do with winning this race, and Bagnaia to just not basically finish in the points. As long as Bagnaia finishes in the top 10, he's sorted. Well, he's having to be careful here. He's got Muir right on his tail, Mr. Francesco. It's not been Bagnaia's day, you know. If this wasn't because of him winning a world championship, I don't think he'd be racing like this. I think he's nervous because you've got Jack Miller on the same bike doing no problem in the podium at the spots at the moment. You're right on his tail now. He's really on his back. Diesel saying Fab can only really win title if Pecco DNFs. Yeah, but he needs to get 25 points. He's 24 points behind. And the only way he's going to get that is win the race. I think it's just too much demand in one race, really. I think they kind of ballsed it up in Malaysia. I think if they'd just done a little bit better there, I think maybe, just maybe, there'd be a chance in this race, but I can't see it happening. Quartararo 1.3 seconds behind Miller. He is closing the gap, but he's still got to then overtake Miller, and then he's got to deal with two more riders. But Bagnaia has just conceded, and now he's down to 7th. Muir's overtaken him. Will Bagnaia fight back? They're coming down on the straight. He was potentially going to approach the inside on that first turn, but instead Muir went across him. So that means the championship is now going to be 19 points between Pecco and Quartararo. 13 laps to go. 27 lap race and 1 lap 14 at the moment. Greg Livingston asking if would you say Valentino Rossi is the greatest of all time? He's definitely up there. I don't believe in the whole GOAT scenario because you have, whether that's MotoGP, F1, football, you've always got a great athlete, probably the greatest athlete in that time. But when you say of all time, you can't do the comparisons. It's like comparing Schumacher to Lewis Hamilton. Different eras, different times in F1. It's, you know, the sport evolves, it changes as well in those years. I'd say in their time, yes. Not all of all time. That's like, I mean, you could say Messi's the greatest footballer of all time. Nothing wrong in saying that, but I wouldn't agree with that. Maybe in the last 10 years, but not of all time, of course, because Maradona was the greatest in his time during the 80s, for example. And you could say early 90s, actually. But in Rossi's time, definitely the best rider. I mean, he's won the most world championships in MotoGP. He's won, what was it, 9 of them? He could have won more. 2015 on the final race. I think that was in Valencia. Missed out to his teammate of Jorge Lorenzo. Lorenzo was a tough cookie. He was a good rider. I don't think he was the fans' favourite, but he was able to silence them. But keep your messages coming in on the live chat page. We'll read them out between now and the end of the race. I'd probably say in the last 4 or 5 laps, we'll ask you for your rider of the day. So keep an eye out for that on the poll. So Quartararo's now got it under a second between him and Jack Miller. So it looks as though Oliveira is now going up for Bagnaia to take him down to 8th. Still behind Pecco, but let's not forget Muir just overtook him. Bezzecchi, or was it? No, it's not Bezzecchi. It's Moreni, the other VR46 team rider. He's in 9th and he's right behind Oliveira. I mean, maybe. What could Francesco actually finish outside the points? It could happen. That's possible. Fabio winning the race, I don't think is possible. I say that, though. 600ths of a second, Quartararo now. 11 laps to go. He couldn't. Nah, he couldn't. I keep doubting it, but you just never know. But I can't see it. Members of Bagnaia's family they can't even breathe in there. They look so nervous in the Ducati garage. They're watching it on someone's iPhone. It looks like on the balancing it on one's knee. Was the yellow flag in sectors 3 and 4? Can you imagine if the front 3 right now all went off the track? And then Quartararo won the race, and then all of a sudden Bagnaia just misses out in the top 10. That'd be insane. Johan Zarco's crashed. Doesn't really affect anything. He wasn't in the top 8 or anything like that. So he doesn't really affect the championship. I'm not sure where he was in the leaderboard, but he wasn't ahead of any of them two. Remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel, folks. Click subscribe to Let's Talk Sport. Hoping to reach 11,000 subscribers and get that mark. Well, we're getting to half a second now between Miller and Quartararo in 3rd and 4th. So Oliveira has overtaken Pecco. That still means Bagnaia was 7th. I'm sure Zarco wasn't in the top at all. Oh, Quartararo's having to be careful. Binder's right on his back. And he's on the side of him. Quartararo, no, he's going to concede it. Yeah, Binder goes ahead. And I think that might cement it, you know. That puts Fabio in 5th. That's a shame. But after all that hard work closing the gap on Miller, he's in range of those bikes, but he's just not fast enough. The Yamaha has been quite disappointing in this second half of the season. And now we've seen a KTM get able to overtake him as well. Alex Rins, though, no problem for him at the moment. He's still top. He's enjoying himself up there. He's over a second ahead now of Augie Martin. So it could be at least a 1-2 finish for Spain in their home race. 8 laps to go. Bagnaia having to look over his back now because now it's Moreni's turn to try and overtake him in the fluorescent and grey colours of his motorbike. Oh, he's right behind him now. Surely he'll overtake him. All Quartararo could do right now is to just keep going, keep trying and see what happens. So Moreni has overtaken Bagnaia, so he's now 8th. Just 2 places from being out of the points. That's what Fabio needs to happen, but then he needs to do it in his hands to win the race. But at the moment, he's 0.05 of a second behind Binder, who just overtook him in the KTM. Varesho says, go, 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 Pecco. Greg Livingston says, as it stands, Quartararo wins the championship. No. He needs to win the race, first of all, Greg. And Bagnaia needs to be outside the top 10. That's the only way it's going to happen. Quartararo is 4 places off top at the moment. And he's got to somehow do it in 7 laps, pretty much. Not enough laps for me. Well, we've just ended the poll asking you who will be world champion, and 72% of you at the moment are correct on Mr. Pecco. Quartararo only on 27% after 289 votes. We're going to put up a new poll. I'm going to ask you for your rider of the day. I feel a bit wrong to put Bagnaia in there, really, because he's not actually been racing great at all. He's lost a few places, now 8th. He's going to win by 20 points at the moment on 266 points if the race ends like it does right now when you look at that top 10 leaderboard. And the poll is up now for your rider of the day. So who will it be? Rins, Binder, Miller or Bagnaia? I've only put Bagnaia in there just because he'll look like he will be world champion. But it looks as though Bastianini will seal 3rd place at least. He's 6 points ahead of Alex Espargaro now in the championship. And Alex Espargaro, if you didn't know, has retired from the race. He parked up his bike in the garage and walked off. Not into the sunset, but he was done. He may as well go on his flight home and get himself ready for next season. I've not checked the 2023 calendar yet. So the first race is in Portugal next year. And Qatar has actually been moved to the, well, it's going to be the penultimate race of the season instead of the first race. So 21 races next year. I don't know about you lot, but I would have thought that that was the most they've ever had in one season. Five laps to go before Bagnaia becomes a world champion. But Bastianini's just overtaken him, no problem whatsoever. So that means the live championship is now down to just 19 points, only 1 point. I mean, to be honest, Bagnaia doesn't need to risk anything right now. As long as he's being informed where Quartararo is, I think he knows he's won it. Even if he crashed it. They're still watching on that iPhone on the on the knee pad, on their knee, sorry. You'd think with all the TVs they've got in there, they'd just watch on a TV. The Yamaha team just watching on. Nothing they can really do either. Greg asking, do you think Quartararo will win some more championships? He's young, he's got plenty of time. I'm sure it'd be good not to have defended his first ever world title, but I think he'll be happy that he gave it his all up until the end of the season. At the end of the day, he's young, he can win many more. Be interesting to see how Ducati go on next season, because we saw them in the last few races last season where Ducati were looking faster than the Yamahas, but it was just too little too late. Oh, and a Ducati's gone off. It's Jack Miller. So that puts Quartararo up to 4th. Again, doesn't really change much. It'll reduce the gap in the championship, of course, but it puts Bagnaia up to 8th, so that obviously gives him a bit of a space between the points positions and out of the points. But let's just watch this. Jack Miller, what a shame for him. He was potentially going to get podium in his last race for Ducati, but it'll end with him in the gravel. It was on turn 11, skids off, pretty much stayed on the bike up until the end. And you can tell from his body reaction, he was not happy with that. Wanted to end on a high, I'm sure. If you haven't yet, folks, vote for your rider of the day. Alex Rins leading it at the moment in our poll, and he's also leading the race. 0.7 of a second. He is ahead by Jorge Martin, but both of them have been stalemate up there since the start of the race. None of them have changed positions. They've been able to stay in the top 2 from the get-go. Greg saying that Arsenal are 1-0 up against Chelsea. Gabriel Jesus. But a big win for them if they get that away from home at Stamford Bridge. Especially after Man City winning yesterday. Last minute kick of the game, wasn't it? From Erling Haaland. I haven't seen the highlights yet. 2 laps to go. Quartararo in 4th. He's over a second behind Binder. Binder's going to get 3rd. That's going to be a fantastic end to the season for him in the KTM. Not had many podiums this season, so he'll take that. His teammate Oliveira is in 5th behind Quartararo, so Quartararo in a KTM sandwich, you could say, at the moment when you look at the leaderboard. Remember to give us a like and click subscribe to Let's Talk Sport, folks. It's free to subscribe. You don't have to pay anything. You simply just follow the channel here on YouTube, and it certainly would help us reach our next target of 11,000 subscribers. We're just over 10,800 at the moment, so it's your support that will help us get bigger. And of course, to continue doing our live sport watch-alongs for you lot at home. I'm just wondering if Morbidelli could maybe try and pip Bagnaia to 8th at least. A teammate of Quartararo's. And he is right behind him, Morbidelli. He's going to try and do his bit for Yamaha. He probably knows where Quartararo is in the championship, well, on the leaderboards. But we're coming up to pretty much the end of the last lap. I mean, it's been an interesting, it's still been a good race to watch, but just too much of a hill for Fabio Quartararo to climb today. I think we all knew deep down how this was going to go, really. But, you know, when there's still a chance to win a championship in the final race, you don't blame the organisers and the promoters to bring up so much hype for this race. And they did call it the decider. They've even been using it all week on Twitter, the hashtag the decider. I mean, hell, we've done it on our hashtags, as you can probably see on our video description. Greg asking, will you do the Women's Super League game later on? Yep, I'll be doing the Women's Super League at 6:45 p.m. tonight. That's what time it kicks off between Man United women and Chelsea women. Weird kickoff time, but it's because of Sky Sports showing the game, and I think they're trying to make sure it doesn't disrupt any of the Premier League matches that they have in their Super Sunday coverage. So in the last lap now, lap 27 of 27. What a moment this is going to be for Pecco. He may get overtaken by Morbidelli, but I'm sure by now Ducati expect him to win his first World Championship. He's holding on against Morbidelli as the cameras focus on him in this final lap of the season. Greg says, okay, Jamie, I'm away. See you later on. Bye. Thanks, Greg. I'd imagine you're probably quite tired. I think you said you started early at work today. Was it 6 a.m. start, something like that? But he's staying ahead of Morbidelli at the moment. He's doing well. Bagnaia, not been his best race today whatsoever. He's made his team feel quite nervous. Oh, just as I say that, oh, he just stays ahead of Morbidelli at the exit of one of those turns. But Alex Rins wins the race. He wins the Valencian Grand Prix, the final race of the season. Binder gets second. He overtook Jorge Martin at the end there. And 4th place finish for Fabio Quartararo. And you can see straight away the response of Quartararo on his bike. He knows it's not enough. And Ducati can celebrate now because Francesco Bagnaia is a world champion for the very first time. Italy's first world champion since Valentino Rossi in 2009. A 13-year wait has come to an end as he parks up and gets the congratulations from his championship rival of Quartararo. That's great to see. A bittersweet moment for Quartararo, but I'm sure he's proud of his mate for winning. And it looks as though there's loads of flags being flown in Chivasso, which is in Italy. A massive fan parade going on there to witness this final race of the season. Italy, well, they've not had much luck with Ferrari and F1, have they, since Kimi Raikkonen last won them a World Championship 15 years ago, but they've got something else to celebrate now. Francesco Bagnaia, well, I'm sure he'll be high up with emotions. He knew he just had to get the job done today, but I think he'll be relieved that it's done and that he will now be a world champion. His family can't believe it in the garage. Oh, I'm sure they'll be partying late into the night here in Valencia. But there is a patch of Ducati fans you can see in the stands wearing red, waving the red flags as well with his number on it. But, oh God, there's like loads of fans coming onto the track now. Poor Bagnaia is not going to get away from them, I don't think. Red is the colour, 63 is the number today. Bezzecchi can ride away, no one cares. None of the fans want to see Bezzecchi. They're not fussed because he's not a world champion, I guess. But Al Diablo will finish second with 248 points. Just not enough to win a world championship this time. You can tell he's annoyed. But I think deep down, when there's a chance, there's a chance. But he just couldn't take it today. Even if he had won the race, it wouldn't have mattered. Because where Francesco finished, it was still enough to win him the championship. And the live heart rate of David Tozzetti has gone up. It's gone up past 147 beats per minute. Oh, it's good to see. Oh, I didn't know he was there. Valentino Rossi celebrating. I'll tell you what, that's quite an honour for Bagnaia to be congratulated by the man who was the last world champion for Italy. Not racing today, of course, Valentino Rossi. But yeah, not his best race today, was it, from Francesco, despite the season he's had. Yeah, I think he was a bit nervous today because Jack Miller raced really well and then he crashed when he was in third place. But the helmet is off. We can really now see the emotions of Francesco. But get in touch on the live chat page, folks. Let us know your thoughts on the race and then the championship. Are you happy that Bagnaia has won, or were you hoping that maybe, just maybe, Quartararo could have spoiled the party today? Well, he's just been given a T-shirt from one of his teammates, and he's going to put it on over his suit, his bike gear, that is. And and they present him with the number 21. Not sure what that means, 21. Does that mean he's the 21st world champion, maybe? Maybe 21st different rider to win, I'm not sure. Normally his number on his bike is a 63. But they haven't to have security around this position just to keep the fans at bay. Maureen McLean says, winning on the slowest bike is a huge feat against such strong Ducati rockets. I mean, yeah, the Ducati were just so much quicker, especially in the second half of the season. And it looks as though they've made Bagnaia a very special helmet. It's in gold. And it says number 1 at the top, I think. Just ahead above his visor. Is he gonna wear it? No, I don't think so. He's just lifting it in front of the fans around him. If you haven't yet, folks, before you leave, do vote for your rider of the day. It looks as though it's between Francesco and Alex Rins. Francesco leading at the moment at 50%. Not a great race for him, as I said, but he has become world champion and did what he had to do to get the championship today. But yeah, Fabio, quite emotional, it looks like, back in the garage as he gets a pat on the back from his teammates. Didn't get the result they wanted today. And Pecco has just put on the helmet. Nice gold helmet. He'll keep that close, and I'm sure he'll keep the World Championship trophy close to him as well. He's running up to the crowd now. Going up on the tyres. A fist pump in the air. Well, it'll take him some time to get over this. I just don't think he can quite believe it. I think your first one must always be special. Quartararo back in the garage. He's sitting down now. People, this is the bit I hate. Just fans everywhere taking photos on their iPhones. Just why not just enjoy the moment? They're all wanting a selfie with him. Just leave him alone. What annoys me about selfies is that if you have a selfie with a celebrity, I bet they never even say hello to them. You know, as in a fan not saying hello to Bagnaia, for example, saying, hey, hello, how are you doing? Stuff like that. They just want the selfie so that they can put it up on Instagram and say, oh, I'm just with my mate. And it's like, well, he's not your mate. You don't know, he doesn't know you. So it's like, oh, it annoys me. I used to be like that, but I don't do that anymore. I did that a few years back, then I realised, nah, I don't think they like it. I think they'd appreciate if I didn't. So after a 50-year drought, an Italian rider is back on top of the world with an Italian bike. So last time that happened was in 1972. So yeah, quite the dream for Ducati. No wonder he had all those fans in Italy celebrating at the checkered flag. He's back on his bike, his World Championship winning bike. Going around the circuit before he... Of course, he won't go on the podium. Let's not forget, he didn't finish in the top 3. Neither did Quartararo, which I think for Quartararo he'd be probably quite pleased. Doesn't have to go up there because I just don't think he'll be in the mood for it. We're going to end the poll for Rider of the Day. And he may have won the World Championship, but I think what he'll remember from today is that he was voted Let's Talk Sports Rider of the Day for the 2022 Valencian Grand Prix. Well done, Pecco. 50% of you voted for him. Alex Rins, our race winner. We'll probably forget that right now, but we'll forget that in the future because we'll probably remember it as the day that Bagnaia won maybe his first of many World Championships. Alex Rins, 38% of you voted for him. Binder at 6% and Jack Miller at 4%. Jack Miller had a great race and then he crashed it out while he was third. So, yeah, he won't. He'll try and forget that one in his final ever race for Ducati. So Bagnaia just waving a big red flag with a golden figure of 1 on it, saying the best in the world. Binder got second today, and that puts him 6th in the championship for the season with 188 points. He's parked his bike up ready for the podium. And so has Boogie Martin. He finished 3rd in the race. He could have finished 2nd, but he got pipped by Binder, and he'll finish 9th in the championship with 152 points. Just going to quickly check the Chelsea score. So, yeah, thanks for those that voted for Rider of the Day. He's still going around the circuit. Yeah, Ducati's first Riders title since 2007. So they've literally the same amount of time as Ferrari. Well, Ferrari are going to have to wait a little bit longer, but it was 15 years ago when they had won the World Championship with Kimi Raikkonen. If we're talking Italian teams, anyway. Well, he's finally parked his bike up. He still has the flag with him. And he stands up on his bike now. Hugo says Quartararo king. He was last year, not this year, sadly. Imagine with that helmet that they made him, that golden helmet, special edition. Imagine if he hadn't won it today, the World Championship. Where would that have gone? Would you keep it in storage for hopefully he wins it next year? Or some of these things that they make for the day, and what if it doesn't go to plan? What a waste of money, and also a waste of items, basically. But Quartararo nowhere to be seen at the moment. But Bagnaia, he's just getting a pat on the back. He's getting hugs all around from his family members and, of course, his teammates at Ducati. They've just seen Quartararo. He's coming through a crowd in the pit lanes. Is he going to come and congratulate him again? He did so literally at the checkered flag when they were still on their bikes. Now, Jack Miller there in the celebrations. Nearly had a great race, but crashed, got a DNF, and didn't get in the podium. It is good to see other riders get involved, and they could probably easily just leave the track and go home and do their interviews straight away and then go home. But it is good for them all to just, maybe because this is the last time they'll all be together before the next race, which is not until next year. Now we've got the calendar in front of me. So the first race of the season for next year is the Portuguese Grand Prix, not Qatar. Qatar's been moved to the penultimate race of the season in November. So it'll be the 24th to the 26th of March, the opening race to next season. So it starts a little earlier next season. 21 races there'll be in the calendar. Argentina second on the second race the week after. Then 2 weeks after that, the third race will be the Americas Grand Prix in mid-April. Valencia will be the final race again, which will be on the 26th of November next season. That's when it ends. So it ends a lot later than it does this year. I could do a check in Man United's lineup. They play right now. I've got to watch them in a bit. But anyway, folks, I think we are going to wrap it up there. I think that's pretty much all that is for our race today and for the season. So before we go, let me remember it now. Thank you all very much for watching all of our MotoGP race watch-alongs for this season. It's been our second season doing this here on Let's Talk Sport on YouTube, and we will carry on doing it next season. I have no plans to not do it, that's for sure. We will definitely be back for next season. So keep an eye out for our next race watch-along in MotoGP for the Portuguese Grand Prix that kicks off next year on the 26th of March. Of course, for the time being, we've got other sports that we do, including in terms of motorsport, we'll be doing the Formula One as always. That is, of course, 2 more races to go. Hopefully, my good man Jack Price will be able to do the Brazil Grand Prix and Abu Dhabi. Those are the final 2 races for this year, and then they pack up for the season. And of course, plenty of football to come on the YouTube channel and other sports as well. And before you go, do subscribe to the channel to be kept up to date. We'll try and do some MotoGP content maybe between now and the start of next season, just to give you guys some MotoGP fix while crying and realizing there's no more races until March next year. So a good 4 or 5 month gap between now and then. But anyway, before I go, our final stream of the weekend is tonight at 6:45 p.m. UK time, that is, between Man United women and Chelsea women in the Women's Super League. So do join me for that and keep me company. But anyway, it's congratulations to Francesco Bagnaia. The colour is red, the number is 62, first Italian world champion in 13 years. While sometimes you have to wait for the best, and it's been well worth the wait for Italy. May they enjoy their pizza and, of course, their beer tonight. Have a good one.